Alrighty, so welcome to the 3 Essentials for Photographing People webinar. So today I'm going to teach you how to take beautiful photos of the people you love, and that includes yourself, because I think you being in photos is incredibly important too. So I'm going to share tips that are going to apply for taking selfies and self-portraits and pictures of people. So feel free to ask any questions as we go. So I'm Lauren. If you don't know who I am passionate about creating good in the world. I am a social worker turned artist, and I love to blend the two things. And I believe that telling your story is a really important way that you can create good in your own world. And I love helping you tell your story through creativity and through creative ways, whether that be through art or through photography. So you can find all of that at lauren-likes.com. So here's what we're going to go over and learn today. I'm going to tell you how to use lighting to your advantage when taking photos of people. We're going to learn to use your phone's native camera settings like a pro, and I'm going to share some tips for posing so that you're not looking awkward in your photos and that you can show up more confidently on camera. And I'm going to give you a just very quick sneak peek into Stories from Here, the Ordinary Gratitude edition that is launching in October. So you are going to leave today with skills to take better photos and confidence to show up on camera yourself. So you're going to need your phone and something to take notes with, which could totally be your phone. We're going to be taking some photos as we're going through today. So have you guys seen the show New Girl? You guys watch New Girl? Nobody? Oh, I thought Jen.
I've seen some of it. My daughter watched it, so I'd catch some of it. But
Okay, so it's okay. If you don't know who these people are, I will share who their characters are. So Cece is a professional model on the show, and she is incredibly confident and always shows up fantastically when she has her photo taken. So tell me in the chat which of the characters you relate most to. Schmidt is very handsome, and he looks great in photos, but he tries absolutely way too hard and cares way too much about it. And gets very in his head over photos. Jess is absolutely adorable. I mean, Zooey Deschanel is adorable in absolutely everything she does, but her outfits in this show are so quirky. She always has like tons of props, and here she's dressed up to do some kind of solar system presentation. So she's very into props and her quirky outfits, and she just looks adorable in all of her photos. Nick is incredibly awkward and is going to make it awkward and uncomfortable for everyone involved, and he is known to moonwalk away. So maybe you feel that way too. In pictures, you are just not having it, and you will be out of the photo the first chance that you get. And then Winston, Winnie the Bish, he's my absolute favorite. But he's always posing with his cat. So maybe you also are posing with your pet or your kid or someone. Maybe maybe they're super adorable and cute and you want to have them in photos, but maybe you're hiding behind them a little bit. So let me know which character you feel like you relate most to when you are taking photos or being in photos. What do you guys think? Nick, yep. It's hard. I definitely get on those awkward moments really quickly too, where it's like a perfect combination of things, and I'm just not here for a photo. Winston hiding, Jen's hiding. It's easy to do, but at least you're being in photos, so that is good. All right, so tell me why you want to take better photos of people. What is it that, or of yourself? What do you want to do with these photos? Why are these photos important to you? I think this is an important one to know and to really think about if you don't totally know your answer right off the bat, because having that big why and knowing why you want to get better, why you want to take these pictures, will help motivate you to continue doing it. Yeah, Jen says memory keeping. That's definitely a really big and important one. So possibly it's just to capture joy and special moments. Susan says partly for work. She does social media for herself and clients, and for personal reasons. Her daughter grew up overnight. Yes, absolutely. Things change so quickly. Kids grow up, pets get old, cities build up really quickly, seasons change. So to capture these special moments is really important. To maybe you want to document the future, for the future, the beauty of today, to have these memories to memory keep. It's such a big important one, which is kind of how I got started with all of this, was scrapbooking. And maybe it's to share with others. Maybe you have family far away, grandparents you want to share pictures with, or you're hoping to kind of tell stories to raise awareness for something, so you want to share those photos for a specific reason. So if you said yes to any of those things, then this is going to be for you. Stories from Here, Stories of Ordinary Gratitude. Like I said, it is my course that is going to launch in October. And what we do in the course is you get access to this huge library of photography videos, writing tips and techniques, and then every day you're going to get a prompt to help you know what to take a picture of and what to write a story about. And then at the end, we compile them into these memory books, so that you can keep and have a little joy book of all of your favorite things to capture all of your stories and your memories in one place, because I know so many of us have tons of photos on our phone, and in hard drives and clouds and on old disc, but we don't do anything with them and print them out. And so that is one of my big goals, is to get you to print your photos somehow and keep them safe so that people can actually really enjoy them. Yeah, so, Gay says, I think she is going to be Schmidt in the situation. She's a perfectionist. She's going to see all the errors in her photos. So we're going to talk through some more of that today as we keep going through the lessons. But so that's just a quick little peek into Stories from Here. So if you were interested in that, it is going to open October 12th. So you will get more information for that later. So for now, let's just start taking beautiful photos together. I don't remember this episode of Seinfeld, but this is a good GIF. All right, so the most important thing you want to do in taking any photo of anything, but especially of people, is to find the best light. It is going to change your photos dramatically when you're using natural light. So if you're outside, find a shady spot, and if you're inside, go and sit directly in front of a window, because natural light is going to be your very, very best friend. So open your windows up, find the light. That's, if you get nothing else from this, do that, and it's going to change your photos. So here are some examples. When you are facing a window, you are going to get a ton of beautiful natural light, so you can see my skin's really clear, my eyes are lit up, the background's nice and lit and even. But then when I just flip around and the window's behind me, I'm blown out. The window's blown out. I'm like dark and a little like grainy, and it just makes a big difference. So just that simple flip around is going to really help your photos pop and shine, especially when it comes to photographing yourself. So if you struggle with, taking photos of yourself, make sure you're letting that natural light in on your face, because it makes that big difference. It really smooths your skin and makes your eyes really shine and light up. And who doesn't want that? It's so lovely. And so another big thing I know, as we're taking lifestyle photos of just our everyday life, we're inside a lot. And so it could be really dark in our homes. So one thing I want you to do is to continue to open windows and doors. So if you're in a hallway, so the first photo here is me in a hallway, and it's just completely dark everywhere. So I literally just opened the door that I was facing, and all the light from that room, from those windows that were open, came in the hall and made a huge difference. And then again, I opened all the doors in the hall, and now I know you can see into the bathroom, which isn't a great shot, but you would figure that out as you were taking it. But as you can see, it's going to let light in all around me, and you're going to get even more details in that. So when you're in your house, everywhere I go, I'm always opening windows, opening doors. Like I open the front door, so the glass door is closed still, but it's going to let that light in. So that when I take photos, wherever I am inside in the house, it is going to be a much better photo that's going to need a lot less editing, because, the more natural light you have, the better your photos are going to be, because of course we can lighten photos when we edit them, but it's just not the same. And you start to get more pixelated the more you have to, lighten it in an editing app. So I want you to take a second and try it. If you have your phone and it is like literally the sun just set in front of me, but if you can go stand in front of a window and let the light shine in on your face and take a photo, and then just go somewhere else or just turn around and take the same selfie and look at the incredible difference in those photos. It really, really, really will make a difference. And see if you feel more confident, facing that window and letting that light in. Does that make your skin look better, make your eyes look more sparkly, and does that give you more confidence to be in photos? Okay, so if you try it, pop in the chat and let me know how it goes. And we're gonna keep moving on because I think it might be dark almost where everyone is. So be a poser. So this is like one of my favorite GIFs. I love her taking her own photo on accident here. So let's talk about posing, because that's one of the biggest things that people said that they struggled with when I did a poll on Instagram, was how to pose, how to stand yourself and other people, because we've all seen the like millions of family photos where everyone's like really awkwardly like shoved in there and like no one looks like they actually want to be there. It's unflattering. So let me share a couple tips with you to make your photos look much, much more natural. Oh, perfect. So Susan, she still has light and she can see the difference in her photos. Oh, I'm so glad, Susan. So Susan, literally anytime I take a photo of anything, I push everything up against the window. If I'm gonna take a picture of my food or whatever it is, I always get up against that window and let that natural light in against it, and it makes the most difference. So keep doing that. So the first thing I want you to do when you are lining people up in your shot is to think about the rule of thirds. So if you go into your camera settings on your phone, you can turn the grid on and use this rule of thirds. You can see the grid lines here give you those literal third quadrants. It breaks your screen into 3 vertical, 3 horizontal, and then the 3 individual little boxes on each line. So you want to line people up on those lines. And you can see I'm like in the middle, my husband's off to the left, the dog's down to the bottom, and then I have this other third part of the photo up here that's got the beautiful mountains behind me. Because if I had lined us up directly in front of the camera, you would literally not be able to see those mountains, and we might as well just stayed home and not hiked all the way up there. So whenever you're taking photos of people, have them on one of those lines, use those rules of third, and let there be some background, because one, you're probably taking a picture partially because of the background, and two, it just adds more visual interest to the eye and makes the photo feel and look more balanced when your people or your subject are lined up on one of those third quadrant lines you've got there. So use that setting in your camera. And now my next posing tip is for selfies and for taking pictures of other people, is I want you to lean into the camera. So I want you to hold your camera up above your eye level, not like crazy high, but just a little bit up above your eye level, and angle it down at yourself like this. So I've got my camera here. So this is too low. This is too low. This is just right above my eye level. And as you see, it's not flat. I'm angling it down at me, and I'm going to lean in towards it. So like I'm doing here, I'm leaning in towards the camera, and I kind of am pushing my shoulder forward. And that is making a big difference, because when you take that selfie way too low, it just creates all of those chins and things that you don't normally have. So take that shot from up above eye level, and it's going to make a big difference. And so this is a picture someone else took of me, and I am just simply leaning in again, and it is just giving me a more natural pose. It just looks more flattering. It's a little more comfortable. Instead of like standing straight, with your arms and everything down, you're kind of able to like lean on your hip, put your hand on your hip, kind of pop your knee forward a little bit, and it just gives you a more comfortable, natural pose. And again, the shot is not below my eye. I'm holding the camera right above the person's eyes, so they are just like leaning in and looking up just a teeny tiny bit, and that makes a huge difference. So if you are looking at photos of yourself or photos you've taken of other people and you feel like they're kind of uncomfortable looking, see where the camera was being held. Was it too low and they were having to look down? Like, this is not a flattering angle of you, you know? So if you're able to look back, you know, look up a little more, it's going to make a big difference. So Jen said that's a golden tip. Thank you. It is so helpful. When you kind of start doing that, you will notice a big difference. So retake your photo. So it doesn't matter if it's light or not. Just snap a selfie now. You can take it, you know, kind of lower and then take one up high, and see the difference it's going to make, and see, do you feel more, you know, comfortable and confident? Do you look better when you are angling it like that? Not, you know, all the way up top here, like down on you. So try that and see if it makes a difference, and use that rule of third if you can get your arm far enough away, and let a little bit of the background show. Okay. So the last thing you need to think about, the third step. So the first step is your lighting, getting your lighting right. And then the second step is getting everyone posed or getting yourself posed correctly. And then the third is knowing which settings to use when per the type of photo that you are trying to take and based on who your subject is. So one of the biggest things you want to make sure of is that whatever you're taking a photo of is in focus, right? And our phones do a great job of getting things in focus, but sometimes we want to be a little more creative, or we have something specific in mind that we're looking to do, and our phone is just kind of like making its own choice. But so what you want to do is choose the focus method that you want to use based on the type of photo you're taking. So there's two ways to focus your phone, besides just holding it up. The first is the tap method. So whenever you tap on your camera screen on your phone, this yellow box will pop up, and whatever is in that yellow box will be in focus. So I prefer to use that the majority of the time, versus portrait mode. I know some people love portrait mode, but I think it's too fussy and it's not quite clear enough for me. So I rarely use portrait mode, but when I do, it is absolutely beautiful. So I'm definitely not knocking it, but I want to have the most control. So using that tapping method makes a big difference for me. So what you want to do is get your person set up, you know, again, rule of thirds, off to the side so you can see the beautiful mountains in the background, and tap on their faces and they will be in focus and your background will be blurred. Or you could do it opposite, you know, so maybe if someone was holding something out in their hand, you could tap on their face and their hand would be a little bit blurry, but you would obviously know what it was, you know, or you can switch, you can change the focus like that. So play around. You can just hold your phone up right now, you know, something that's in front of you, and tap on different things to get the focus and see what you like. And then you can switch over to portrait mode and play with that and see what different settings you can get. So you can click on that little F button down there and you can change how much of a focus the portrait has. So it can have like a crazy blur in the background or barely any blur at all. So you can change that. So that's kind of another fun little feature that you can use. But I prefer to use the tapping method for the most part, unless kind of like that mountain shot. My husband he's an adult. He was standing still. You know, the mountains there was this huge landscape background, and it didn't need to be super clear because you could obviously tell that there were mountains. So portrait mode was a good choice for that situation. But if you have kids that are running around, portrait mode is hard. They have to be still. So I don't use it a ton for kids who are really little, or pets unless they're being really still. And I don't use it a lot inside because people tend to be too close to the background and it doesn't really work. You have to get really far away from it, and then your person has to be really far away from the background to really get a lot of the benefit and effect of portrait mode. So portrait mode I more use for posed photos of people outside with a big background, and the tap method I use about 90% of the time. But again, you just want to play around with it and figure out which feature that you like the most. and see which situation it is going to work best for you in. So the next setting that you really need to be aware of is live photo. So tell me, do you guys have live photo? Susan, do you have live photo turned on your phone? Or do you know how? So to know how if your photos are live or not, if you just simply go into your camera roll and press down really hard on a photo, and if it starts moving, then that means it's live, and most likely your live photo is on. So when you're in the camera setting, you can click on this button right here. It's like looks like kind of like a little sun, maybe like it's a circle with circle dots around it. That's the best way to describe it. And if it is yellow, no, it's just white right now. If it's a bunch of circles, that means live photo is on. And if you tap it and it's got a line through it, live photo is turned off. So yes, okay, so Susan's asking, this is a great question. It just kind of happens, right? Like live photo, it is factory standard. It kind of comes on your phone, and if you update your phone, sometimes it will turn itself back on. So you have two options. You can tap the circle to turn it off or on, or you can go based on the photo you want to take, or you can permanently turn it off or on, and that's what I do. I go into my settings, preserve settings, and hit live photo, and it will preserve the last setting that you have, which is off, and then I just check it every now and then, because live photos are like little videos. So it'll take about a 3-second video, and you can then scroll through and pick the part that you want to be the photograph, or you can turn them into GIFs or to videos or all kinds of things. So it has a lot of cool functionality, but they're not JPEGs, which are normal photos. They are HEC files, HIEC, and they don't really work with anything. So you can obviously post it on Instagram and it will become a photo there. But if you try and upload it, or sometimes even text them to people, they can get a little funky. And so depending on what you're going to do with the photo, it gets really hard to use, and you have to convert it in an outside program to make it go back to a JPEG. So I tend to have mine turned off, but if you have a toddler or a tiny puppy, it's a really good thing to use. Now this photo I took of this adorable toddler here, I was using just the regular settings, no live photo. But I know parents love, love, love live photo, because you can just snap really quickly. Your kid doesn't even have to look at you or pose for the picture, and then they can scroll and get the actual part of the photo where they are looking at them. And so that is great for really, really small kids. But if you are just taking general photos around the house, I would not use live photo, because I want you to be able to use those photos elsewhere and have the highest resolution, most crisp, clear, beautiful photos you can. And live photo, I find sometimes is not that. So I would go ahead and turn it off, unless you have a reason, like a tiny, tiny, kid, baby, who you need to use it for. But for the most part, I just turn it off. But for getting action shots, it can be helpful to use. So, if you just want to take it while a kid's crawling towards you or someone's running, then you can kind of pick the best photo from there and convert it and turn that into a photo. So just depends on your preference. But for action shots, again, I like to be in control of the photo, so I like to use the regular settings, no live photo. And what I do is I get down really low, or depending, if it's an adult running, I wouldn't get low. Maybe I would, because that would be a cool perspective shot, so you could play with that. But for the dog running towards me, or, the baby in the last picture, like, I'm obviously 4 feet taller than he is, so I had to get all the way down on the ground on his eye level. So you want to get eye level again with whatever you're shooting. And you need to be still. So that's the biggest misconception of action shots, is they're not going to be blurry unless you move. You are the blur. So if you move your camera, that's when you get a blur in an action shot. So you get down low, you be really, really still, and then you let like I let Lasso here just run towards me or run across the screen, and I just snap, 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 snap. And I just took a ton of pictures. You could take a burst, or you could just, snap a bunch, and then you could pick out your best photos. And I start as soon as I tell him to come to me, I start snapping, and I don't stop until he's behind me. So I have photos of him when he's very tiny, far away, and then I have photos like he's not even in the picture anymore. But as you can see, I captured these adorable ones here of him in the process as he is moving around, moving towards me. So that's how I get really, really good action shots, because your phone does have that capability to take amazing action shots if you can just be so still. And that's what I tell parents all the time too when they ask me about photographing little kids, is that you have to be still, let them move around, and let them be in action. I mean, that's the like beauty of capturing your kids' personalities, or anyone's personality, is letting them do their thing and then you capturing them in action. Those candid shots are always, always, always your favorite, and the ones you look back on and love the most. So don't be afraid to not take photos of people who aren't looking directly at you and posing and smiling. Be willing to take action shots of people doing things and play around with the different angles and types of photos that you're taking, and those can be really powerful for memory keeping and storytelling. Okay, if anyone has any questions about action shots, pop them in the chat. Okay, so I want you to retake your photo now, and you can take it of yourself or of someone else, using focus and portrait. Since we just talked about those two things, see the difference when you tap on your own face in the camera screen versus using portrait, or you can use an object and see the difference and see which one you like, and the different things that you can do in that tapping method. It really can change how your photos look, and it's very, very cool and very creative, especially for kind of lifestyle shots. Oh, yes. Okay, if your phone is old and you don't have portrait, don't worry about it. Like I said, I rarely use portrait mode, and the tapping method will work on your phone. So go ahead, set something up, set 2 items up and take a picture, tap on one and then tap on the other, and look at the difference that it makes. And it can be very, very cool. You can do really creative things with that I don't feel like you can do as much of with portrait mode. Portrait mode, like I said, portrait gives you that really creamy, blurry, kind of professional looking photo, but the focus mode gives you a lot of creativity. And I like that. Okay, so now it's time to put together all of the things that you have learned. So I want you to take a moment and go take a photo. You can pause the webinar. If you're watching the replay, go get some great natural light. Hold your camera up above your eye level, angle it down, lean in towards it a little bit, use that rule of thirds, and either tap for focus or use portrait mode, and see if that photo you take now using all of these thoughtful skills is different from that very first portrait you took at the beginning of the webinar. I would be very curious to see the difference, and if it feels different, if you feel more confident taking the photo and being in the photo now that you kind of have some of these skills and these tips. Okay, and if you're super brave and you want to share that first photo and then this last photo, maybe like an Instagram stories a little before and after, I would love to see it. You can just message them to me. I would absolutely love to see them. Okay, so I shared this on Instagram the other day, and people very, very much so related with it. This gift from The Office, when your kid or your dog or just something beautiful, a butterfly lands on a flower, you freak out because you don't have your phone, you don't have your settings right, you can't get the picture, and it's happening so quickly. Your kid runs away, the dog runs away, the butterfly flies away, and so you're really upset that you missed the photo. And so my best tip for you is to practice. Taking thoughtful photos every day is the only way you're going to improve your skills, so you're ready for those really cute, important moments that happen really, really quickly. quickly. So I've got a challenge for you to help you practice and get things set up. And I call this a rhythm of joy because it is such a joyful thing for me to do. So taking the time to set up a photo, edit it, tell the story of whatever photo you're taking acts as a time capsule for joy and for hope. And it is just one of my favorite parts of the day, when I get to sit down and go through photos I've taken that day and relive those beautiful moments and think through them and, spend some time doing the creative act of taking the photos and editing them and kind of choosing the best ones to share or do something with is, like I said, it's a rhythm of joy that I use daily. And however you choose to do it is up to you. These are photos that different students have used who've taken my Stories from Here class. You can see on the left, she was a big scrapbooker, like a traditional scrapbooker. So you can see, she's stamping, she's writing, she's right onto her photo. And that was kind of her rhythm of joy, was spending time scrapbooking, kind of very tangibly, physically working with those photos and those stories. And then in the middle, she just glued her photo down and just hand wrote out her story into a journal. So now she has this journal full of these little moments of joy, and again, a very tactile, fun way to do that. And then on the right is mine. I do mine in a book that just gets printed. They just gather them all up from my Instagram and print my photos and my captions. I like how kind of clean and crisp it all looks and professional and nice it looks, and it's just a lot less time and a lot easier. But whatever is fun and joyful for you, I hope that's how you document your stories and your photos, because it's really, really important. And and I definitely will show you how to do all of this in Stories from Here, and we work on it together. And ordering your book is one of the best parts because you have it. That's the thing. We do so many things online now, and they just kind of disappear into the internet, ether, and I don't know where they went. And so being able to have a tangible reminder, especially of really important special moments, it's priceless. That's what they say, like, if your home is on fire, after you get everyone out, the first thing people grab are scrapbooks. And now we don't really have a lot of scrapbooks. We have a lot of hard drives. So people are grabbing hard drives that maybe are dead or don't work or don't have the right cords to, or technology changing so fast you're losing everything. So I always encourage people, find a way to print out your photos in some way, shape, or form. So what if you could slow down and revel in joy and beauty, the joy and beauty of your life, and you had time for yourself each day that restored and replenished you? You had a joy book to remind you of the beauty of your life, and a way to contribute gratitude and beauty to the world and to others around you. Those are kind of my daily goals. And so if those things sound lovely to you, again, I would love to have you join in Stories from Here, Ordinary Gratitude. So like I said, it is about a 6-week course, and it's going to run every day in November. We start the last week of October and it wraps up the first week of December, but the meat of it is daily in November, where you will get a prompt every day of something to take a photo of and a story to tell, and then we share those on Instagram or however you choose, and then at the end we put them into a book together. So to help you practice and to get excited, if you would like to win a spot in Stories from Here, you can participate in the giveaway, in the challenge, and get entered to be in the giveaway. So if you want to get better at this, you want to practice taking better photos and telling your story, complete the 3-day challenge and you will be entered to win a spot. So here's how it's going to work. You are going to be emailed a PDF like this up here, and it will have your prompts. It will have 3 prompts for photos for you to take, and some captions, some story suggestions for you. So take and share these 3 photos. They don't have to be exact. Just make them your own. Tell the stories your way. Do it your way. But take and share 3 photos and use the hashtag stories from here class and tag me so that I can see you and celebrate your post. And you have until Monday to do these. So you have like, what, 6 days to take 3 photos and post them. You can totally do it on Instagram, and tag me. And you will then be entered to win a free spot in Stories from Here. And then on Tuesday, same time, same place, I'm doing another webinar on how to photograph your art, aka make flat lays. And even if you are not an artist, you don't have art you want to photograph, please still come, because these are such a fun creative act, and I bet you do have something you want to photograph. So maybe it's your food or books you're reading or your kids' toys or just little vignettes around your home. I'm going to show you how to some special like lighting tricks that you can use to get more light into these areas. And then we're going to like live set up a flat lay together, so you can practice kind of all the like rules to make it look really, really good. So that is going to be really fun. So again, when I send out the replay of this and I send out the challenge, I will have the link to sign up for that webinar if you would like to join us for that. Okay. So those are all of my tips. We're going to come back in here, and if you have any questions or any issues that you are having with your photos, please, now is the time to speak up, because I would love to help you. And I'm watching the chat too.
I wasn't sure if that tap the screen would work in like the reverse, the selfie mode.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume it obviously does. Then that's what you're talking about. I just took a huge picture of we had a huge family wiener roast. There was probably 50 people there. I didn't have a tripod. It was a last second decision. I propped it up on a side-by-side headlight trying to get everybody in. We got everybody in, and it turned out to be a great photo, but it was just a little fuzzy. It wasn't crisp and clear. And I'm like, why didn't I tap the photo? And then I wasn't sure if it was just because I had it in that selfie, that front camera mode, as opposed to taking it from the regular way.
Okay. So I'm glad you took the photo, period. I know
Yep.
you'll never regret, even a fuzzy photo, you'll never regret it. There could be a couple reasons why it was fuzzy. Maybe it was getting dark. So that could add to it. Possibly, yes, you needed to tap the focus, because a lot of times what happens, especially when we go to take like timer shots, is we are literally right here taking our photo, and it locks in on the focus, the closest thing to it, and then you run away and the focus is still right here. Or there could have been, maybe if you had it set up on something, the camera could see the ground right here, and it was putting that in focus because that was the closest thing to it. So
Yep.
checking all of those things. And you're right, this camera is nowhere near as good as this camera. So anytime you can, I will take test shots and get on the ground to look at it. Anytime you can turn it around for timer photos and use these cameras, it's always your better choice. But your selfie camera, should also be still very, very good. So just checking the focus is always the first thing I do when I'm taking timer shots for those focus reasons. Yeah.
Good to know. I did not try to tap on the screen. I wasn't even thinking about it when I did it. And they were so far away, it was like I couldn't tell if they were in focus or not until I got the picture done and pulled it up. You can see everyone. It's just not crisp as I'd like it. Again, the perfectionist trying to find everything wrong with the photo, but
yeah, and sometimes, it just is what it is. It's going to be like blurry or crooked or whatever. And one thing I do when I'm setting up pictures and I'm aware that I'm really close to this, I'm going to be the focus, I'll kind of stand to the side and press the button so that I can tap and make sure it's going to have the actual subject in focus. So that's a great question, though. Those are things you don't realize, that, like you said, until after they happen.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, that's a great tip. I didn't even think about the focusing before you walked away.
Mm-hmm.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
This has been great. I'm an artist, so I'm going to take your art webinar too.
Oh, I'm so glad you're going to come. It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always get great tips. No matter if I feel like I've taken it before, but it's like you always catch something else the second time around that you didn't think about.
Yes, and it changes too as you take more photos. That's what I tell people. Like, pick a lesson in the course that you want to do better at, like people, and just take that lesson and practice those lessons versus because there's so many lessons in the Stories from Here class, so many different tips and techniques and things you can do. It's hard to do them all. So pick what you want to learn about and get really good at that, and then you can add another thing onto your repertoire.
Cool. Well, I need to practice now.
Yes, yes, that's the fun thing about the challenge, and that's why I like to give the prompts, is so that you, kind of have some direction, and you have other people doing it with you. That's like the whole fun of the hashtag. If you go look at the hashtag, there's like almost 4,000 photos in there now, so you can see what other people are doing, how they're using it, interpreting the same prompt, and so it's very cool. You'll get
It's
lots of good ideas.
Yeah, the class was awesome. I hate to admit that I haven't ordered the book yet because I'm just like, oh my God, how did I not do that? It's like all right there, ready to go. I just gotta like organize it a little bit more and get it again perfect, get the words from the right pages and all that stuff. But I gotta get it done.
Yes,
But
okay, well,
I learned so much and I made such good friends. I mean, I have a friend that I talk to all the time that's in Tennessee that we took the class together and we just bonded over some of the same things. And it was just super cool. It was
Oh my,
awesome.
same
And
here.
the feedback I got from just the people on my Facebook page and Instagram page, people that I know. I live in a very small community. I've lived here my entire life. I know everybody. I had everyone coming up to me saying, oh my God, I wake up in the morning waiting to see what you wrote that day. I mean, it was crazy. And I'm like, I'm not a writer. And they were like, oh yeah, you are. And I'm like,
Oh, that's so
it
cool.
was amazing. I mean, it was just, and they're like, can you do it again? We just had random people coming up to me, just giving me like great props, and encouragement to do it again. So it was very fun.
oh, I love that. Which remind me, you did just the regular one, right?
I think so. Oh my God.
It wasn't, you didn't do gratitude or travel. You just did like
Nope.
the regular. Yep. Okay.
Yep.
That's what I thought. You did the spring one.
I did the spring one and I did the, what was it? 30 days. It had to do with women in my life and encourage, it was all the people in my life that had encouraged me in some way or shape or form. And yeah, it was good. It was fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I love how you did that. You definitely made it your own by picking your like such a specific subject and topic. Yes, so that's your challenge for this week, is to get your book ordered.
I know. I feel like that's why I'm here tonight, is to get my rear in gear and do that. So
It is. It's the hardest part. I admit it.
it is.
Oh, I just want to say that I've taken all the versions of Lauren's Stories from Here class, and they're all fabulous. And I have 2 works in progress, but one that I did finish, and I have the book, and I love, love, love it. I keep it out in a prominent place. I look at it frequently, and I just love it. And I can't wait to get back into the queue and finish them. So
Yeah, I'm inspired again to do that. So yes, definitely.
yeah, and I agree about meeting people. I met a lot of really great people through the class that I still keep in touch with.
Yeah.
That's so wonderful to hear. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, there are absolutely wonderful people, and they're also helpful. That's what I love too about the classes. We have a private Facebook group, so people are really helpful, and they share in there, and they share in the hashtag, and yeah, people are nice. And like I said, people keep coming back. So, and if there's always more stories to tell, that's the thing. Like, and and the thing is, like, this is not a novel idea. Taking pictures, making scrapbooks, like, it's just the group encouragement to do it. That's what the biggest thing is actually sitting down and doing it, and that group momentum really it helps me a lot.
I just want to say one more thing. the prompts and the encouragement from everybody are really helpful, because there's always people who say, oh, I'm not a photographer, or I'm not a storyteller. And yet their stuff is amazing what they're posting. So I don't know, it brings out that natural talent, I guess, or that drive to tell a story with a good picture. So
I agree.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. It definitely taps into a creative side, I think, that a lot of us didn't know was there.
Right. Exactly.
Yep. And I learned a ton from the other people that were taking the class. Just reading their stories were amazing. And across the world, I live in this tiny town of 700 people. They were stories from China and all over the place. I'm just like, how am I in this group of people?
Yeah, it was so interesting to read everybody's
It was.
perspectives. I agree with that. Yeah. It's phenomenal.
Yep, it was good.
Well, I'm convinced.
Oh, well, thank you, ladies, so much. Susan, do you have any other photography questions that I can help you with at this moment?
Not right now. Like I said, I'm just going to go practice and play around with some things. And when I don't, feel like I do. But yeah, I got a lot of tips out of here. I've got a full page of notes, and I'm going to go play around with it.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, let me know on Instagram if you get started and you're like, this is weird. Why can't I get this to work?
It's also fun to rewatch this.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
sometimes I'm like multitasking and miss something. I'm like, wait, I'm going to go back and see what she said. Or he did that.
I screenshot everything. So I don't always look back, but it's like notes, it just sticks in your head more if I'm like, okay, I'll get that.
Hey,
So-
Lauren,
Mhm.
another question. When you take selfies of you and your husband and dog, are you like stretching out your arm really far? Are you using a selfie stick? What are you doing? Because you've got great distance, it's a good distance and it's a good perspective. And mine are like, they're so close and our heads are gigantic and there's no background.
And what button are you using? Because I'm like, I've got these two fingers. I got two arms up all the time trying to hit the button.
Right. Using a timer then?
Okay. So this is how I'm holding it. Like this.
Okay.
And I'm using my thumb. So I'm propping it up with these two fingers, keeping it steady. And now my new phone has two features. It does have this little button here. Let me see if you guys can tell. That if I push it, it gets a little further away. Like
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. I know what you mean.
It gives me a little bit more space.
Ooh. You don't mean zoom, you mean like the opposite of a zoom.
It zooms out.
It's going a more wide angle.
Yes, it does. And if you do have the newer phone with 3, one thing I will do is use the fisheye lens. So I will do like what is it? So I will like zoom it all the way out, do the 0.5 so it gets bigger. Okay, this is perfect. So you can see me. So you can see if I get really close, I start to get that, see how this outer edge is getting that fisheye. But if you're right in the middle, you're very much normal. So I will do the fisheye lens when I do groups a lot. So if you have that feature on your phone, and you can get a lot of people in that as long as everyone's like really in the center, because if anyone's like out here, like you can look and see how long my arm looks. So if anyone's kind of on those outer edges, it does kind of elongate their faces. But if you can get everyone like really, really smushed in the middle there, this fisheye lens is really fun for selfies. You can get really, really cool selfies that way.
What does that look like? What's the fisheye? I don't even know what that would.
So do you remember like old toy cameras, and it would be like normal in the middle? And that's just kind of what it is. Like, it's just like a really, really zoomed wide angle, but because it's a phone, it doesn't quite have the capability to be a wide angle. So it turns into a fisheye on the edges.
But what are you using to get it to do that?
Do you have the 3 cameras?
Oh, no, I only have 2.
Okay.
So that's the difference. Okay. That's all I need to know.
That's the
Got it.
additional. It's the wide angle lens is the additional lens when you move up to the 3 camera models.
Well, I need to update.
Yeah, I know
Hey.
it's so hard, but I promise you though,
Yeah.
I can take a good selfie just using my regular thing. I kind of hook my arm, put a little bit of a hook in my arm so I'm not quite straight, so that I can kind of get that like angle up and down, and I get everyone in the photo. And I make my husband do it a lot because he's got really long arms. It's just playing with it endlessly, so the more you can take the photos of just yourself, or photos of flowers. Like, flowers are the best models because they're beautiful, you never get bored of taking photos of them, and they don't complain. So find something that you can just practice on endlessly, and figure out all the best angles, all the best ways to hold your hand, your best phone settings. And then when you are in a cute place with someone, you can snap a quick selfie and it looks great and they think you're magic, but really it's because you spent like 3 hours taking selfies, and figuring out the exact right, angle of your bent arm.
Good. I need to practice the hold that your hand hold. I need to hold and figure out how to.
Yes.
We'll get it, Gay. We will.
We got it. We got this.
Yes, you totally do. Yep. I mean, and that's like a great angle that you're holding it at right now too. So
I've got my hand like you do. I mean, like you just showed us. I'm like, okay, can I actually do that, or will I drop my camera? So
yeah. Oh, yeah. I have dropped my camera on my face multiple times. It does hurt.
My
That's
problem is too, I have a case on my camera, my phone. So when I'm taking pictures, I need to take it off.
Yes,
Because it's like I'm juggling it as well as the camera functions. So I just need to take it off when I'm taking serious pictures.
Yes, and if you have a case that's going to cover any of your lenses, front or back, that is going to add that kind of like, especially when it gets dirty, it's going to add that like filmy, murky, underwater look to it. So if you are taking nice pictures, I would take your case off or switch to a case that doesn't cover your cameras at all.
Okay.
And make sure you wipe off your lens. That's always my number 1 tip before you do anything. Wipe off your lens.
best tip ever.
Yes, I do that now all the time.
I
Yes,
tell people to do that all the time. I'm so bad. I'm like, wipe off your lens. It's so bad.
It makes such a difference.
It does.
It
I
does.
do wipe off everyone. Like, people hand me their, strangers will hand me their phones and I will wipe off their lens. I'm like, don't worry. I'm fixing it for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. All right, ladies, I'm going to figure out how to stop recording.